My boyfriend and his roommates don't understand the privilege of not having to lock their door. When I visit, they act as though culture shock hits them when the door is locked. None of them even carry keys. One time, I accidentally locked a roommate out for the night. He had to walk to a friend's house and sleep there. They never got mad at me. They understood why locking doors was a habit I wouldn't break. My boyfriend and I were long distance. Since I worked from home and his roommates were gone most days, I would visit and stay for a week at a time. On Saturdays, they all worked while I had the weekend off. This particular Saturday, I lay in my boyfriend's bed, the room closest to the front door. The door was locked, and I snuggled back under the blankets, planning to relax. The apartment complex had buildings that connected, but each had separate staircases and entrances. My boyfriend's unit was at the top left of the last building, nearest the woods. It was a nice neighborhood, nestled between two bustling metropolitan areas. The front doors to the buildings, they were never locked. Sometimes people propped them open with rocks day and night. Even when the doors weren't propped open, they'd slam loudly, only to bounce ajar again. My boyfriend had one rule: never answer the door, especially when alone. That morning, about an hour after the guys left, I was scrolling through Tumblr when the front door slammed, and then I heard it. A sound like a cry for help. I froze. Sitting upright in bed, I listened, heart pounding. Maybe I misheard. My anxiety and OCD often twisted sounds into worst-case scenarios, but then I heard it again. Footsteps, heavy, fumbling, someone climbing the stairs, panting and grunting, another cry for help. This time I was sure, but something about it felt wrong. I crept out of bed, closer to the bedroom door. The cries came nearer. Whoever it was reached the top of the steps and knocked frantically on a neighbor's door. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. After pounding on 2 doors, the person finally came to ours. The frantic knocking shook me. The handle jiggled. I covered my mouth to stifle a gasp. Quietly, I crept closer. Peering through the peephole, I leaned in just enough to see who was at the door, and my blood ran cold. A man stood there, disheveled beard, cracked, bleeding lips, eyes wild with something. Breathing heavily, he smiled, teeth blackened, rotting. Some were brown, others green. He tilted his head, his voice high-pitched and unnatural. "Why won't you help me?" I stumbled back, every nerve on edge. The pounding had stopped. He stood silently, motionless on the other side. I thought about running to grab my phone, but the thought of making noise paralyzed me. Desperate, I peeked again. There he was, still. His breath fogged the peephole as he smiled wider, his lips splitting open again, blood trickling down his chin. Then I had an idea. Back in the bedroom, I grabbed my phone and searched for an audio clip, something threatening. I found it and turned the volume all the way up. Holding my phone near the door, I pressed play. "Who's banging on my door? You must be crazy. Let me grab my gun so we can both say good morning." The sound of a gun cocking echoed in the hallway. It worked. The man fled, his footsteps pounding down the stairs. Shaking, I looked through the peephole. Gone. I considered calling the police, but what could I say beyond my story? Heading to the kitchen, I grabbed a bottle of water, my nerves still on edge. Passing the balcony, I suddenly froze again. The curtain. Slowly, I pulled it back. Nothing. Relief. The apartment wasn't on the first floor, but still. I reached up and locked the door.